What do you do when the person you trust most rips your world apart with a single sentence? My name is Michael, and I thought I had it all until my wife Emily dropped a truth so shattering it left our marriage in ruins. One quiet evening, as the TV flickered in our cozy suburban home, she turned to me, her voice calm but resolute, and said, "Mike, I'm going to carry Anna's baby." No warning, no discussion, just a decision she'd already made to be a surrogate for her twin sister, Anna, without even a whisper to me, her husband. That moment, the foundation of our 4-year marriage crumbled, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. Stick with me through this story of love betrayal and the fight to hold on to dignity. When it's over, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know what would you do if your trust was broken. Like this, 4 years ago I stood at the altar, gazing into Emily's hazel eyes as she promised to be my partner through life's highs and lows. At 35, I felt like the luckiest man alive. Emily, 33, was vibrant, kind, and the kind of person who could light up a room with her laugh. We settled into a modest house in a quiet New York suburb where tree-lined streets and manicured lawns gave everything a postcard-perfect feel. Our daughter Sophie, 5 years old, loved chasing fireflies in the backyard, while our son Ethan, 3, was always toddling after her, giggling. Those early days were magic, coming home from my engineering job, to Emily's warm hugs, the kids' laughter filling the house, and the quiet comfort of suburban nights. We'd curl up on the couch after bedtime, binge-watching The Office, or sharing a glass of wine planning our future. I thought we were untouchable, wrapped in a bubble where nothing could go wrong. But bubbles burst. It was a Tuesday evening, the kind where the world feels soft and routine. Sophie was coloring at the kitchen table, Ethan was stacking blocks, and I was sprawled on the couch, half watching a sitcom rerun. Emily sat beside me, scrolling on her phone, her dark hair tucked behind one ear. I noticed her fidgeting, a telltale sign she was working up to something big. "Mike," she said, her tone too casual, "I've made a decision. I'm going to be Anna's surrogate." The words hit like a punch to the gut. I blinked, sure I'd misheard. "What do you mean, surrogate?" My voice was tight, already sensing the storm coming. Emily set her phone down, meeting my eyes with a steadiness that unnerved me. "Anna and David have been trying for a baby for years. IVF hasn't worked, and their doctor suggested a surrogate. Since Anna's my twin, I'm the perfect match, same DNA. I've already talked to the clinic and started the process." Her matter-of-fact delivery made it sound like she was discussing grocery lists, not a life-altering choice. My heart pounded, a mix of shock and betrayal surging through me. "You started the process?" Without telling me, I asked, my voice rising. Sophie glanced up from her coloring, and I lowered my tone, but the anger was boiling over. I'm your husband. How could you not even mention this?" She sighed, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "I knew you'd freak out, Mike. This is my body, my choice. Anna's my sister. She's been through hell, and I can't just stand by while she's miserable. I hoped you'd understand." Her words stung, each one a jab at the partnership I thought we had. "Understand?" I repeated, leaning forward. "This isn't just about your body, Em. This is our family, our life. You talked to Anna, to David, to some doctor, but not to me. I'm finding out last, like I don't even matter." Her eyes flashed with defiance. "I'm doing this, Mike. I'd love your support, but I don't need your permission." The room felt smaller, the air thicker. Sophie's crayon scratched softly in the background, a stark contrast to the chaos in my chest. I muted the TV, trying to process the betrayal. "So you're telling me you're going to carry David's kid, live in our house, and I'm supposed to just nod and smile. My voice was low, but it trembled with fury. Emily crossed her arms. It's Anna and David's baby, not mine. I'm just the carrier. Why can't you see this is about helping my sister? I laughed, a bitter sound that didn't feel like me. Helping your sister? You're tearing us apart to do it. You blindsided me, Em. That's not what partners do. She stood, her cheeks flushed. I'm sorry, I didn't tell you sooner, but I knew you'd try to stop me. This is too important. Anna's family too. I stood to face her, my hands clenched. And I'm your husband. Or does that mean nothing now? Her lips pressed into a thin line, and she turned away, ending the conversation. I watched her walk to the kitchen, her shoulders stiff, and I sank back onto the couch, my mind racing. The kids' laughter, once a balm, now felt like a cruel reminder of what I was losing. That night, as I lay awake, the weight of her decision pressed down on me. I didn't know how we'd move forward, but I knew one thing: our marriage was on a collision course, and there was no turning back. The next morning, Emily acted like nothing had happened. She made pancakes for the kids, humming as she flipped them while I sipped my coffee in silence. Sophie chattered about her drawing, oblivious to the rift between us, but I couldn't unhear her words from the night before. She'd already started the process meetings with doctors, maybe even tests, all behind my back. The betrayal wasn't just the act. It was the secrecy, the way she'd sidelined me in our own marriage. I wanted to scream to demand she stop, but the look in her eyes last night told me she wouldn't. Emily had always been stubborn, a trait I once loved. Now it was a wall between us. As I drove to work, the radio droning in the background, I replayed our life together. The late-night talks, the way she'd tease me about my terrible dance moves at our wedding the moment Sophie was born, and we cried together in the hospital. How had we gone from that to this? I didn't have answers, but the hurt was raw, and a seed of resentment was taking root. I wasn't sure what came next, but I knew I couldn't just let this slide. If Emily thought I'd play the supportive husband while she carried another man's child, she was about to learn how wrong she was. What do you think so far? Can you imagine being in my shoes, blindsided by the one person you trusted most? The days after Emily's bombshell felt like living in a house with a crumbling foundation. One wrong step, and everything could collapse. Her decision to be a surrogate for her twin sister Anna, without consulting me, had fractured our marriage, and the cracks were spreading fast. I'm Michael, and this is the story of how my once perfect life with Emily, Sophie, and Ethan unraveled one painful moment at a time. If you missed chapter 1, go back and catch up. It's a gut punch of a start, and when you're done with this chapter, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and let me know how far would you go to hold onto your dignity when trust is broken. The morning after our fight, I woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Sophie giggling in the kitchen. Emily was at the stove, flipping bacon, her face a mask of normalcy. Ethan was in his high chair, smearing oatmeal on his tray while Sophie waved a crayon drawing at me. "Look, Daddy, it's us at the park," she chirped. I forced a smile, ruffling her hair, but my eyes locked on Emily. She didn't look up, just kept cooking, as if her announcement last night hadn't turned our world upside down. I wanted to confront her again, but the kids were watching, and I couldn't let them see the storm brewing. So I grabbed my coffee, muttered a thanks, and headed to work, my chest tight with unspoken anger. At the office, my engineering job, usually a refuge of logic and numbers, felt like a slog. My coworker, Tom, noticed my distraction during a meeting. "You okay, Mike? You look like you got hit by a truck," he said over lunch. I hesitated, then spilled the basics. Emily's surrogacy plan, her secrecy, the way she dismissed me. Tom whistled low. Man, that's heavy. You gonna talk her out of it? I shook my head. She's already started. Says it's her body, her choice. Tom leaned back frowning. Sure, but you're her husband. Doesn't that count for something? His words echoed my thoughts, but hearing them out loud only deepened the sting. I spent the rest of the day staring at blueprints, my mind replaying Emily's casual betrayal. When I got home, the house felt different. Less like a sanctuary, more like a battlefield. Emily was in the living room, sorting through a box of medical supplies that had arrived from the fertility clinic. Vials, syringes, and a stack of pamphlets littered the coffee table. I stopped dead in the doorway. "What's all this?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. Emily barely glanced up. "Hormone treatments. The clinic sent them to prep my body for the embryo transfer." She said it like she was organizing a grocery list, not planning to carry another man's child. My jaw tightened. "And you didn't think to mention this was coming, or that you're already this far in?" She sighed, setting down a vial. "Mike, we talked about this. I'm doing it. Can you just let it go? Let it go." I stepped closer, keeping my voice low so the kids playing upstairs wouldn't hear. "You're turning our home into a fertility lab, and I'm supposed to just nod along. You didn't even ask me, Em." Her eyes flashed with exasperation. "I'm trying to help Anna. She's my twin. She's been through so much. Why can't you support me on this?" I laughed a bitter sound that made her flinch. "Support you? You went behind my back, made plans with David and some doctor, and I'm the last to know. That's not a marriage, Emily. That's you deciding I don't matter." She stood crossing her arms. "You're blowing this out of proportion. It's 9 months, Mike. Then Anna and David get their baby, and we move on." I shook my head, my voice cold. "We're not moving on from this. You broke something, and I don't know if it can be fixed." The next week was a tense standoff. Emily went about her routine, taking Sophie to preschool, playing with Ethan, cooking dinner, but every interaction felt like a performance. I stopped kissing her goodbye in the mornings, and she stopped asking about my day. The kids sensed it. Sophie, always perceptive, clung to me more, her big eyes searching mine. "Why are you sad, Daddy?" she asked one evening as I tucked her in. I forced a smile. "Just grown-up stuff, sweetheart. Daddy loves you." But inside I was raging. Emily's betrayal wasn't just personal, it was seeping into our kids' world, and that made it unforgivable. Things got worse when Anna and David started showing up unannounced. One Saturday, I came home from a run to find them in our living room, flipping through a baby catalog like they owned the place. Anna was circling stroller models while David lounged in my recliner, chatting with Emily about cribs. Sophie and Ethan were outside, thank God, but the sight of them in my space made my blood boil. "What's this, a baby shower planning session?" I said, my tone dripping with sarcasm. David stood scratching his neck awkwardly. "Hey, Mike, we're just, getting ready for the baby." Emily shot me a look. "They're helping me figure out what I'll need while I'm pregnant." I crossed my arms. "Need for what? You're not keeping the kid. Why does my house need to look like a nursery?" Anna's face tightened. "Mike, we're just trying to make this easier for Emily. She's doing us a huge favor." I turned to her, my voice low. "A favor you cooked up behind my back? If you want to plan, do it at your place. Not here." Emily stood, her cheeks red. "This is my home too, Mike. You can't ban my sister." I met her gaze. "Maybe you should have thought about that before you turned our marriage into a group project." They left soon after, but the tension lingered. That night, Emily cornered me in the kitchen as I washed dishes. "You're being unreasonable," she said, her voice sharp. Anna and David are family. They're not the enemy. I dried my hands, turning to face her. They're not my family when they're part of a decision that excludes me. And neither are you right now. Her eyes widened, hurt flashing across her face, but she didn't argue. She just walked away, leaving me with the clink of dishes and a growing sense of isolation. The real gut punch came a few days later when I checked our joint bank account. Emily had withdrawn $5,000, money we'd saved for a family vacation, to cover fertility clinic fees. No discussion, no heads up. I confronted her that evening, holding up my phone with the bank statement. "What's this, Em? You're spending our money on this now?" She looked guilty but defiant. "It's for the treatments. I didn't think it was a big deal." I stared at her, incredulous. "Not a big deal. That's our kids' future, our savings, and you just helped yourself to it." She crossed her arms. "I'm doing something important, Mike. Why can't you see that I step closer?" My voice low and steady. "What I see is a wife who doesn't care about her husband's feelings. You're choosing Anna over us, and now you're stealing from us to do it." Her lips trembled, but she didn't back down. "I'm not stealing. It's our money too." I shook my head. "Not anymore. You've made it clear this is your show. Don't expect me to play along." That night I lay awake staring at the ceiling. Emily was in the guest room. She'd started sleeping there, claiming she needed space. The house, once filled with warmth, felt like a stranger's. I thought about our wedding vows, the promises we'd made in front of family and friends. For better or worse, we'd said. But what do you do when worse means your partner shuts you out completely? I wasn't sure how much longer I could live like this, but one thing was clear. Emily's choice was tearing us apart, and I wasn't going to let her drag me down with it. What would you do if your partner made a life-changing decision without you? Can a marriage survive that kind of betrayal? How do you hold a family together when every moment feels like a battle? I'm Michael, and my marriage to Emily was unraveling faster than I could grasp. Her decision to be a surrogate for her twin sister Anna, without so much as a word to me, had shattered our trust. Now, with her secretly draining our savings and turning our home into a staging ground for her sister's baby, I was done being sidelined. If you haven't read chapters 1 and 2, go back. They'll show you how we got to this breaking point. When you're done with this chapter, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell me, when does standing up for yourself mean letting go of everything you once held dear? The weeks following Emily's bombshell were a cold war. Our house in suburban New York, once a haven of laughter and warmth, felt like a pressure cooker. Sophie, our 5-year-old, started asking questions, her big eyes catching the tension between us. "Why don't you and Mommy talk anymore, Daddy?" she'd whisper at bedtime. I'd kiss her forehead, mumbling, "We're just figuring things out, sweetheart." But the truth burned. Emily had chosen her sister over our family, and I was struggling to keep it together for the kids. Ethan, our 3-year-old, seemed oblivious, but even he clung to me more, sensing the shift. Emily, meanwhile, carried on like nothing was wrong, scheduling doctor's appointments and injecting fertility drugs in our bathroom like it was just another Tuesday. I tried talking to her, hoping she'd see reason. One evening, after the kids were asleep, I found her in the kitchen reading a fertility clinic pamphlet. "Em, can we talk?" I asked. Keeping my voice steady, she glanced up, wary. "What now?" "Mike," I sat across from her the table, a chasm between us. "This surrogacy thing, it's killing us. You're spending our money, filling our house with needles and drugs, and you didn't even ask me. Can't you see what this is doing?" She sighed, closing the pamphlet. "I see you making this harder than it needs to be. I'm helping Anna. It's 9 months. Then it's over. Why can't you just deal with it?" Her dismissal lit a fuse in me. Deal with it. You're carrying David's kid under our roof, using our savings. $5,000 without a word to me. That's not a marriage. That's you deciding I'm irrelevant. Her eyes narrowed. You're not irrelevant, but this isn't about you. It's about Anna, my twin who's been crying herself to sleep because she can't have a baby. I'm doing this for her. I leaned forward, my voice low. And what about us? What about Sophie and Ethan? You're tearing our family apart for her. She stood her chair, scraping the floor. You're so selfish, Mike. If you loved me, you'd support me. I laughed, a hollow sound. Love doesn't mean letting you walk all over me. You broke our vows, not me. That conversation was the last straw. The next day I called a divorce lawyer. His name was Greg, a no-nonsense guy recommended by a co-worker. Over coffee at a diner, I laid out everything, Emily's secret surrogacy plan, the $5,000 she'd taken, the way she'd dismissed my objections. Greg nodded, jotting notes. Sounds like a clear breach of trust, and the financial piece could be fraud. You've got a strong case, but divorce in New York means a year of separation first. Can you handle living with her that long? I clenched my jaw. I don't have a choice. The kids need stability. Greg gave me a grim smile. Then buckle up. It's going to be a rough ride. Walking out of that diner, I felt a strange mix of relief and dread. I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was fighting for Sophie and Ethan, for the life we deserved. Living with Emily became a nightmare. She moved to the guest room claiming she needed space to focus on the pregnancy. I took the master bedroom, but sleep was scarce. The house was a minefield of tension. One night I came home to find Anna and David in our dining room, discussing nursery plans over coffee. Emily was nodding along, her hand on a stack of baby catalogs. I stopped in the doorway, my gym bag hitting the floor. What the hell is this? I asked, my voice sharp. David stood awkward. Hey, Mike, we're just helping Emily get ready. I glared at him. Ready for what? This isn't your house, and that's not my kid. Take your plans somewhere else. Anna's face hardened. Mike, we're family. Emily's doing this for us. Can't you be a little supportive? I turned to her, my patience gone. Supportive? You two cooked this up behind my back, and now you're in my home acting like I'm the guest. Get out! Emily jumped up, her voice rising. You can't talk to my sister like that. This is my house too. I stepped closer, my eyes locked on hers. Not for long, Em. You made that clear when you chose them over me. They left, but the air in the house grew heavier, like a storm that wouldn't break. The kids felt it most. Sophie started having nightmares, waking up crying for me. One night as I rocked her back to sleep, she mumbled, Is Mommy leaving us? My heart cracked. No, baby. Mommy loves you. We're just having a tough time. But I wasn't sure how much longer I could shield her. Ethan, too, was quieter, his usual chatter replaced by long stares out the window. I tried to keep their routines normal. School drop-offs Saturday, pancakes, bedtime stories, but Emily's presence, her growing belly, was a constant reminder of the fracture. She'd waddle around complaining about back pain or nausea, and I'd bite my tongue, refusing to help. Ask David, I'd say when she begged for a glass of water or a pillow. Her eyes would flash with hurt, but I didn't care. She'd made her choice. I was making mine. The financial betrayal cut deeper when I found more withdrawals, another $3,000, gone this time for consultation fees at the clinic. I confronted Emily in the garage, away from the kids. You're draining our account, I said, holding up my phone with the bank app. You think you can just take our money and I'll sit quietly? She crossed her arms, defiant. It's for the baby, Mike. I didn't think you'd make a big deal out of it. I stepped closer, my voice low. You forged my signature on those forms, didn't you? That's not just a big deal. It's illegal. Her face paled, but she didn't deny it. I did what I had to do for Anna, she whispered. I shook my head. You did what you wanted, Em, and you're going to answer for it. That night, I emailed Greg attaching the bank statements. Add fraud to the list, I wrote. She's gone too far. Emily's family started circling the wagons. Her mom, Linda, called me one evening, her voice dripping with judgment. Michael, how can you be so cold? Emily is doing something selfless for her sister. I gripped the phone, my knuckles white. Selfless. She lied to me, used our money, and ignored our marriage. Ask her why she thought that was okay. Linda scoffed. You're tearing this family apart over your pride. I hung up, my pulse racing. Her dad, Robert, tried next, leaving a voicemail. You're making a mistake, son. Support your wife, or you'll regret it. I deleted it without a second thought. They could paint me as the villain, but I wasn't the one who'd broken our vows. By the end of the month, Emily's belly was starting to show a physical reminder of her betrayal. I caught Sophie staring at it one morning, her brow furrowed. Is Mommy having a baby? She asked. I knelt beside her, my throat tight. Mommy's helping Aunt Anna, but the baby's not ours. Okay, you and Ethan are my babies. She nodded, but her eyes were uncertain. That moment hardened my resolve. Emily could call me selfish. Her family could call me heartless. But I was protecting my kids from the chaos she'd invited into our lives. Divorce was no longer a question. It was the only path left. What would you do if your home became a battleground? Can you fight for your kids while losing your partner? When does a marriage become a battlefield you can't escape? I'm Michael, and my life with Emily had become a war of silence and resentment. Her choice to be a surrogate for her twin sister Anna without my consent had shattered our trust, and her secret use of our savings, $8,000, and counting, poured fuel on the fire. Living under the same roof during our mandatory one-year separation was torture, but I stayed for Sophie and Ethan, our kids, who were caught in the crossfire. If you haven't read chapters 1 through 3, go back. They'll show you how we reached this breaking point. When you're done with this chapter, hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments. And tell me, can you forgive someone who betrays you in the name of family? The months dragged on each day. A reminder of Emily's betrayal. Our suburban New York home, once a place of warmth, was now a cold stage where we played strangers. Emily stayed in the guest room, her belly growing with Anna and David's baby, while I kept to the master bedroom, barely sleeping. Sophie, 5, and Ethan, 3, felt the shift. Sophie's nightmares grew frequent. Her small voice, asking Daddy, "Why's Mommy always sad?" I'd hug her tight, whispering, "We're working through some things, baby," but the lie tasted bitter. Ethan, less aware, started throwing tantrums, his frustration mirroring mine. I poured my energy into keeping their lives normal, school-run soccer practice, bedtime stories. But Emily's presence, her complaints of pregnancy aches, hung like a dark cloud. I refused to help my anger a shield. When she'd ask for a glass of water or a back rub, I'd snap, "Call David. This is his kid." Her eyes would well up, but I'd turn away, reminding myself she'd chosen this path. The tension boiled over at Sophie's 5th birthday party. We'd planned a small backyard bash, balloons, a bounce house, a cake shaped like a unicorn. I wanted it to be perfect for her, a moment of joy in our fractured home. Neighbors and a few of Sophie's preschool friends filled the yard, their laughter a brief reprieve. Emily, 6 months pregnant, moved slowly, setting out snacks. I noticed Anna and David, arrive uninvited carrying a gift bag. My stomach churned. What are they doing here? I muttered to Emily as she passed. She shrugged, avoiding my eyes. It's Sophie's birthday. They're family. I clenched my fists. Family doesn't sneak into my house to plan your pregnancy behind my back. Before she could respond, Sophie ran up tugging my hand. Daddy, look at my crown. I forced a smile, not wanting to ruin her day, but the sight of Anna and David chatting with neighbors like nothing was wrong made my blood boil. Halfway through the party, as kids swarmed the bounce house, Anna pulled me aside near the grill. Mike, can we talk? She asked, her voice soft but firm. I crossed my arms. What's there to talk about? You got what you wanted. Emily's carrying your kid. Her face tightened. We're grateful, but you're making this harder than it needs to be. Emily's struggling and you're shutting her out. I stepped closer, my voice low. Struggling. She lied to me, used our money, forged my signature. You and David pushed her into this, and now you're in my yard acting like I'm the problem. Get out! Anna's eyes widened. This is Sophie's day. Don't make a scene. Before I could respond, Emily appeared, her face pale. Mike, stop it. You're embarrassing us. I turned to her, my voice rising despite myself. Embarrassing. You turned our marriage into a circus, and I'm supposed to play along. Neighbors glanced over the air, thick with awkwardness. Sophie, holding a balloon, stared at us, her lip trembling. I knelt beside her, my heart sinking. Daddy's okay, sweetie. Go play. But the damage was done. Anna and David left soon after, and the party limped on, the joy sucked out of it. That night, after the kids were asleep, Emily confronted me in the kitchen. You humiliated me today, she hissed, her hands on her hips. It was Sophie's birthday, and you turned it into a fight. I leaned against the counter, exhausted. You invited them, Em. You knew how I'd feel. You keep choosing Anna over us. Her eyes glistened, but her voice was sharp. You're choosing your pride over our family. I'm doing something good, and you're punishing me for it. I shook my head. Good. You stole $8,000 from our savings, forged my signature, and expect me to cheer you on. That's not good. That's betrayal. She flinched but didn't back down. I'm helping my sister. You'd understand if you weren't so selfish. I stepped closer, my voice cold. Selfish. I'm protecting our kids from the mess you made. If you want to play hero for Anna, do it somewhere else. She stormed off, slamming the guest room door, and I stood there, the silence deafening. The real breaking point came in Emily's 8th month. It was just past midnight when frantic knocking woke me. I opened my bedroom door to find Emily, her face contorted in pain, clutching her belly. Mike, my water broke, she gasped, sweat beading on her forehead. The contractions are coming fast. Please, I need to get to the hospital. For a split second, I saw the Emily I'd loved, the one who'd held my hand through Sophie's birth, who'd laughed with me over late-night coffee. But then the anger surged back. Call David, I said, my voice flat. He's the father. This is his job. Her eyes widened, tears spilling. Mike, please. David's not answering, and Anna's phone goes to voicemail. I'm begging you. I stepped back, my heart a stone. Call an ambulance. I'm not doing this. She gripped the door frame, a contraction doubling her over. You're heartless, she sobbed. I met her gaze unmoved. You made this choice, Em. You deal with it. I closed the door, her cries echoing in the hallway as she fumbled for her phone. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling as red and blue ambulance lights flashed through the window. The paramedics arrived within minutes, their voices calm but urgent as they helped Emily out. I didn't move. Guilt flickered, but I smothered it. This wasn't my child. My responsibility, she'd made that clear when she sidelined me. Still, as the ambulance drove away, I pictured her alone, scared, and part of me wondered if I'd gone too far. I pushed the thought away. She'd chosen Anna and David over me, over our family. Why should I be her savior now? The next morning, my phone exploded with messages. Emily's mom, Linda, left a voicemail, her voice shrill. "Michael, how could you abandon your wife in labor? You're a monster." I deleted it, my jaw tight. Anna texted, pleading, "Psych. Emily needs you. Please, come to the hospital." I ignored it. I took Sophie and Ethan to school, kept my routine, but the weight of the night clung to me. At work, Tom noticed my silence. "You okay, man?" he asked. I shook my head. "Emily went into labor last night. I didn't take her to the hospital." His eyes widened. "Damn, Mike. That's cold. You sure about this?" I nodded, but his words stung. Was I becoming someone I didn't recognize? Emily gave birth to a girl, premature but stable. She stayed in the hospital for a few days, and I didn't visit. Anna and David were there, no doubt, playing the doting parents-to-be. When Emily came home, she was pale, exhausted, carrying the baby in a car seat. She set it down in the living room, sinking onto the couch. "Why's the baby here?" I asked. My voice clipped. She closed her eyes. Anna's still recovering from her own health issues. "They asked me to keep her for a bit." I scoffed. "Of course they did. And you just said yes, like always." She looked at me, tears falling. "Have I always been this cruel, Mike? Or did I make you this way?" I crossed my arms. "You made your choice, Em. Don't ask me to clean up the mess." She flinched, and I walked away, the baby's soft cries following me. Can you stand by someone who's broken your trust, even when they're suffering? Is protecting yourself worth the cost of compassion? How do you rebuild when the life you knew is in ashes? I'm Michael, and my marriage to Emily had become a battlefield, scarred by her decision to carry her twin sister, Anna's baby, without my consent. Her betrayal, forging my signature, draining $800,000 from our savings, had pushed me to file for divorce, and I refused to soften even when she went into labor and begged for my help. Now, as the final court date loomed, I faced a reckoning. Would standing my ground bring justice or just more pain for our kids? Sophie and Ethan. If you haven't read chapters 1 through 4, go back. They'll show you how we reached this precipice. When you're done, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell me, can you hold on to your principles when it means breaking a family apart? The weeks after Emily's labor were a grim routine. She returned from the hospital, pale and fragile, with Anna and David's newborn daughter in tow. The baby's cries filled our suburban New York home, a constant reminder of the fracture between us. Emily stayed in the guest room tending to the infant while I focused on Sophie, 5, and Ethan, 3. The kids were my anchor. Sophie's drawings, Ethan's giggles, but they felt the strain. "Why's Mommy always with the baby?" Sophie asked one morning, her eyes searching mine. I knelt beside her, forcing a smile. "Mommy's helping Aunt Anna, but you and Ethan are my priority. Okay?" She nodded, but her uncertainty cut deep. I couldn't shield them from the truth much longer. Their mother had chosen her sister over us, and our family was crumbling. Emily tried to bridge the gap. One evening, as I read to Ethan, she appeared in the doorway, the baby asleep in her arms. "Mike, can we talk?" she whispered. I closed the book, motioning her to the hallway to avoid waking the kids. Her eyes were red, her voice shaky. "I know I messed up not telling you. I thought I was doing the right thing for Anna. Can't we find a way through this?" I crossed my arms, my heart a fortress. "You didn't just mess up, Em. You lied, you stole, you forged my signature. You made me feel like I don't exist in this marriage." Her lips trembled. "I'm sorry, Mike. I never meant to hurt you." I shook my head. "Sorry doesn't undo what you did. You chose Anna's family over ours. I'm done." She wiped a tear, clutching the baby tighter, and walked away. I stood there, the weight of my words settling like dust. The divorce process was a slow grind. New York's mandatory one-year separation meant we were stuck sharing the house, moving like ghosts around each other. Emily cared for the baby who Anna and David couldn't yet take, due to Anna's ongoing health issues, some complication from her latest IVF attempt. I refused to help, ignoring Emily's pleas for a break when the baby's cries kept her up. "Call David," I'd say, my voice cold. "He's the father." Her family piled on the pressure. Her mom, Linda, showed up one weekend cornering me in the kitchen. "Michael, you're abandoning your wife when she's postpartum. How can you be so cruel?" I met her gaze unflinching. "Cruel? Ask Emily why she used our savings and forged my signature. I'm not the one who broke this family." Linda's face reddened. "You're tearing your kids apart." I pointed to the door. "Take that up with your daughter. She made her choice." She left muttering about my heartlessness, but I didn't care. I was fighting for Sophie and Ethan, not their approval. My lawyer, Greg, built a strong case. He'd gathered bank records showing Emily's withdrawals, $8,000 for clinic fees, some with my forged signature, and emails proving she'd planned the surrogacy without me. "The judge will see this as a breach of marital trust," Greg said during a call. "The forgery is a big deal. You're in a good position for primary custody and no spousal support." I nodded, staring out my office window. "What about the kids?" I asked. "They're my priority." Greg's voice softened. "Courts favor stability. You've been there, Rock. Emily's choices weaken her case." I hung up, a mix of relief and dread settling in. I wanted justice, but the cost upending Sophie and Ethan's world gnawed at me. The court date arrived, a gray morning that matched my mood. The courtroom was stark, its wooden benches cold under fluorescent lights. Emily sat across from me, her lawyer beside her, her face drawn and tired. Anna and David were in the gallery, their expressions tense. Sophie and Ethan were with a sitter, spared from this ugliness. My lawyer presented our case: Emily's unilateral decision, the financial deceit, the forged signatures. Greg's voice was steady, laying out the timeline like a prosecutor. My client was excluded from a life-altering decision that impacted their joint finances and family. Mrs. Thompson's actions show a clear disregard for their partnership. Emily's lawyer countered, painting me as cold and unsupportive. Mr. Thompson abandoned his wife during a vulnerable time, refusing to assist her during pregnancy and labor. I clenched my jaw, the accusation stinging, but Greg had prepared me. The baby wasn't mine, and Emily's secrecy was the real betrayal. The judge, a stern woman with sharp eyes, listened intently. She reviewed the documents: bank statements, clinic, contracts, my forged signature glaring from the pages. When she spoke, her voice was clipped. "Mrs. Thompson, your decision to pursue surrogacy without your husband's consent, coupled with the unauthorized use of marital funds, constitutes a significant breach of trust. The forgery is particularly troubling." She turned to me. "Mr. Thompson, while your response was unyielding, the court recognizes your right to set boundaries in light of this betrayal." My heart thudded as she delivered the ruling: primary custody to me, visitation for Emily contingent on a stable environment, and no spousal support due to her financial misconduct. Emily was ordered to repay $6,000 of the misused funds. Her face crumpled, tears streaming as she covered her mouth. Anna reached for her, but Emily pulled away, her shoulders shaking. I felt a pang but pushed it down. This was the justice I'd sought. Outside the courtroom, Emily approached me, her eyes swollen. "Mike, I never wanted this," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. I thought I was helping Anna, but I lost you." I looked at her, the woman I'd once loved, now a stranger. "You didn't just lose me, Em. You threw me away when you lied and chose Anna over us. You don't get to apologize now." Anna stepped forward, her voice trembling. "Mike, she's hurting. Can't you see that?" I turned to her, my voice steady. "You got your baby, Anna. You and David deal with the fallout. I'm done." I walked away, the corridor stretching endlessly before me, a weight lifting from my chest. For the first time in months, I could breathe. Back home, the house felt lighter without Emily. She'd moved to her mother's, taking the baby until Anna was ready to assume custody. Sophie and Ethan adjusted slowly, their questions about mommy fading as we settled into a new rhythm. I took them to school, cooked dinners, read bedtime stories. One night, as I tucked Sophie in, she hugged me tight. "I love you, Daddy. I'm glad you're here." I kissed her forehead, my throat tight. "Always, sweetheart." But alone, I wrestled with the cost. Had I been too harsh? Emily was struggling. Postpartum broke, living with her judgmental mother. Yet every time pity surfaced, I remembered her lies, the forged signatures, the way she'd dismissed me. She'd made her bed. I wouldn't lie in it. Anna and David took the baby a month later, but their lives were no fairy tale. I heard through mutual friends they were drowning in medical bills, David's hours cut at work. Emily, too, was floundering, unable to find steady work. I focused on the kids, our home now a sanctuary again. But Emily's texts came late at night, full of regret. I didn't see how much this would hurt us. "I miss you," I replied, only about custody schedules, keeping my distance. Her choices had consequences, and I wouldn't soften to ease her pain. Was I right to stand my ground, even when it broke us? Can justice heal a shattered family? What happens when the dust settles after a marriage crumbles? I'm Michael, and my life with Emily ended in a courtroom. Her betrayal, carrying her sister Anna's baby, without my consent, forging my signature, draining our savings, leaving me with primary custody of our kids, Sophie and Ethan, and a hollow victory. The fight was over, but the scars remained. If you haven't read chapters 1 through 5, go back. They'll take you through the heartbreak that led here. When you're done, hit that like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and tell me, can you rebuild a life when trust has been shattered? The weeks after the divorce felt like stepping into a new world, one both lighter and heavier. Our suburban New York home, once a battlefield, was quiet again. No babies' cries, no tense silences with Emily. Sophie, 5, and Ethan, 3, were my focus. I threw myself into their routines, packing lunches, driving to preschool, cheering at Sophie's soccer games. One Saturday, as we built a blanket fort in the living room, Sophie giggled, her eyes bright. "This is fun, Daddy." Ethan chimed in, tossing a pillow. Their laughter was a balm, but it couldn't erase the ache. I'd won custody, kept our home, but the cost was a family fractured. At night, when the kids slept, the silence pressed in, and I wondered if I'd been too hard on Emily. Emily moved to her mother's, a small apartment an hour away, still caring for Anna and David's baby until Anna's health stabilized. During custody exchanges, she looked worn, dark circles under her eyes, her once vibrant smile gone. "How are the kids?" she'd ask, her voice soft. I'd keep it short. "They're good. Sophie's got a school play coming up." She'd nod, glancing at Sophie and Ethan as they hugged her, their joy bittersweet. Once, as she buckled Ethan into her car, she met my eyes. "Mike, I know I messed up. I miss us." I shifted my throat tight. "You made your choice, Em. We're here now." She looked down, tears falling, and drove off. I watched her taillights fade, a flicker of guilt stirring, but I pushed it away. She'd lied, stolen, chosen Anna over us. I wouldn't let regret pull me back. Life settled into a rhythm. I went to work crunching numbers as an engineer, finding solace in the logic of blueprints. My co-worker Tom became a lifeline, inviting me for beers after work. "You holding up, Mike?" he asked one evening, sliding a pint across the bar. I shrugged. "The kids keep me going. But it's weird, you know. I won, but it doesn't feel like winning." He nodded. "Divorce is like that. You're free, but you're carrying ghosts." His words stuck with me. At home, I'd sit in the dark replaying our marriage. The late-night talks, Emily's laugh, the way she'd dance with Sophie in the kitchen. Those memories stung, but they were buried under her betrayal. The $8,000 she took, the forged signatures, the way she dismissed me. I'd done what I had to, hadn't I? Sophie and Ethan thrived slowly. Sophie's nightmares faded, replaced by chatter about school friends. Ethan, always resilient, filled the house with his toy truck noises. One evening, as we ate pizza, Sophie looked up. "Daddy, do you still love Mommy?" I froze the slice halfway to my mouth. "I love that she's your mom," I said, carefully. "But sometimes, grown-ups can't stay together when trust gets broken." She nodded, returning to her plate, her small mind processing. Ethan, oblivious, smeared sauce on his cheek. I wiped it off, my heart swelling. They were my reason, my clarity. I'd fought for them, and I'd keep fighting. Emily's texts came sporadically, usually about the kids, but sometimes heavy with regret. "I didn't realize how much I'd lose," she wrote one night. "Anna's baby didn't fix anything. It just broke us." I stared at the screen, tempted to reply, but typed only, "Let's stick to custody stuff." Her pain was real, but so was mine. Friends told me she was struggling. No steady job, living with her critical mother. Anna and David too strapped with medical bills to help. I felt a pang, but reminded myself she'd chosen this. My job was Sophie and Ethan, not saving her. Anna and David's life unraveled too. I heard through a mutual friend that David's job cuts left them scraping by Anna's hospital bills piling up. Their baby, a girl named Lily, was healthy, but their dream of a perfect family was strained. Emily, caught in the middle, seemed to regret her selfless act. "It didn't help anyone," she texted once. I didn't respond. Her family kept up the pressure. Her dad, Robert, left voicemails calling me stubborn, unforgiving. I deleted them. They could judge me, but the court had seen the truth. Emily's actions, $8,000, misused my signature, forged, were a betrayal of our partnership. One night, alone with a beer, I found an old photo album. Pictures of Emily and me at our wedding, Sophie as a newborn, Ethan's first steps. I traced Emily's smile, remembering the woman I'd loved. Had I been too harsh? Could I have compromised? The thought lingered, but then I saw the bank statements in my mind. Her dismissive words, "It's my body, my choice." No. She'd sidelined me, broken our vows. I'd stood my ground to protect my kids, my dignity. Closing the album, I felt a quiet resolve. I wasn't the villain, but I wasn't a saint either. I was a father, and that was enough. Months later, life felt steady. The kids and I had movie nights, park trips, a rhythm of our own. Sophie drew a picture of us three smiling under a rainbow. "For you, Daddy," she said, and I hung it on the fridge, a symbol of our new normal. Emily's visits were consistent, her demeanor softer, but I kept my distance. She'd made her bed. I wouldn't lie in it. People asked why I didn't help her seeing her struggle. I'd say she chose Anna over us. Choices have consequences. They'd shake their heads, but I stood firm. My revenge wasn't cruelty. It was letting her face the fallout of her actions alone. The lesson, trust and respect, are the glue of a marriage. Break them, and no love can hold it together. Emily's choice to put Anna first cost her our family, and my choice to walk away cost me a piece of my heart. But for Sophie and Ethan, I'd do it again. What would you do when trust is gone? Can you rebuild without it? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. This is the end of my journey, but I want to hear yours. Follow for more stories about the choices that shape us.